Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of From Indy to Immortal. As always, I'm your host, the Media Maverick Mike Weldon. To my right is my co-host, Angel from the Talking Turnbuckles podcast. And tonight, our guest is the guiding light, Michael Gabriel.
Ellis,
Mr.
thank you all
Gabriel,
for having me on this journey tonight.
we appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us and letting us hear your sermon.
For sure, anything for any of the individuals under the sound of my voice, I'll be happy to share whatever may enter your brain.
Mm, okay. So my first question, just right off the bat, is your character has a very cult-like spiritual presence. How do you prepare for the promos and storytelling that make your persona so compelling?
Well, I'd say that I've kind of had experience prior to doing all of this. Little bit of a backstory is I used to be uh, on staff actually at a church back in the day. And so I was able to be in that environment, soak it all up, learn the lingo, and also be able to step on stage and speak to people. Uh, the church I was involved with had about, I'd say, a little over 1,000 people. So, when I got on the stage, the lights were bright, the all eyes were on me, and I learned very quickly at a young age too, how to communicate to a mass amount of people. So I'd
Yeah.
say naturally things just kind of flow for me. I kind of get into when I think of things, I come from experience. It's not just because something I saw on TV was really cool. Um,
hmm
Something that I was, oh, this would be fun to do. No, this is a lot of my real life. This is a lot of my story, a lot of the inner motions and turmoil that I felt and also can relay, and other people have felt as well. So I feel like when I speak, I don't just speak in a way where you have the typical wrestling promo for what you
hmm
say. We'll even entertain some of the smart people, um, because when you're doing things like that, you're a you're trying to put something out there that might elicit someone to come out to an event. B, also to stand out for people that may not even be following you on social media, or someone it may pop up in an algorithm randomly on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. Um, and also it's to, you know, I hold my career not just in the ring, but if it gets people to think a little bit, because I know there's a lot of people out there that there's a lot on a lot on their minds. There's a lot of people who there's a lot of strife. There's a lot of things going on in our world currently that dominate our news cycles. So if I
hmm
can get someone to just think a little bit and not just be like, oh, he's doing the typical wrestling thing, then my
Yeah.
goal is accomplished.
So would you say you're not cutting promos, you're preaching?
I guess so. I guess that you could say something like that. Yeah, I'm not just putting things out there just for the sake of it. I know that that sometimes works, and sometimes gets you gets people to see your stuff, but at the same time, yeah, if people see something and they connect with it, that drives more of an audience, because I know how to pull people's heartstrings. I know certain cadences. I know how to get into people's minds, hearts, and maybe even a soul, because the soul is what dominates our bodies. It dominates what we do, how we make decisions, our moral compass, whether go right or wrong. So if I could speak to that somehow, some way, then my goal's accomplished. And if it sells a ticket or two, hey, that's good too.
Yeah, it is. That's what I've heard this so many times being said. Like it's all about, pardon my language, it's about putting asses in seats.
Ain't that the truth? That's what we're here to do. We're here to
Yeah.
put asses in the seats, make money, and then go on about our to the next one. That's the
Yeah.
goal. Those are the people that
So,
have come before me as well.
so your character, well, the guiding light. Like on social media? Do you collaborate with other wrestlers online to create character-driven content, like to help build up to a show?
Well, like when you like collaborate, like do the Instagram, like actually, like if I'm wrestling somebody, do I tag them in my posts? Or is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like, or if like you're cutting a promo on them, but, like trying to hype up a show that you're going to be facing them at, like along those lines.
Well, I mean, I'll tag them in the posts, but from a collaboration standpoint, I'm a little old school when it comes to things. I know in today's world, kayfabe's pretty much toast. It's pretty much dead, gone, buried, never coming back.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just not the type of person to convey online that, wink, wink, nod, nod, smirk
Mm-hmm.
that I'm I'm really good buddies with this guy. And yeah, we're gonna go out there and have this good old time and we're gonna wrestle and we're gonna have this great no. Like I still believe and still try my darndest to have an allure of somewhat of a mystique, I'd say,
Yeah.
especially with the what I'm trying to convey. Because the problem is that I think sometimes we forget that, and I think it does damage us as performers, as wrestlers, because back in the day, you would have two locker rooms, and obviously, I was not a part of it then. It's just been told and passed down to me from people that have come before me. They've basically ran so that I could walk. Uh, where you'd have a babyface locker room and a heel locker room, and so
Uh-huh.
you didn't travel with the baby faces if you were heel or vice versa. And obviously, like things have changed, and I'm not advocating that we go completely back to that system, but
Uh-huh.
I do believe in something, I do believe in aura. And I think a lot of times what happens is that some people can lose that aura by being too in on the joke, if that makes sense.
It does.
Because yeah, and some people make it work, and at the end of the day, if they're making money, if they're getting booked, if they're getting eyes on them, That's that's the goal of everybody that steps in between those ropes. That's what they
Uh-huh.
want. But there's some people that just, they just don't. It just doesn't come across as serious as you want. And there's room in wrestling for everything. Wrestling, my trainer, Dr. Don Pritchard, one of his quotes is that wrestling is like different flavors of ice cream. Some people like chocolate, some people like vanilla, some people like pistachio, and some people like Rocky Road. At the end of the day, it's all ice cream, and it depends on which flavor you like. And so there's a place for everything, but at the same time, I truly think that when we put ourselves out there as wrestlers, we want people to believe a little bit, especially when they come into a show, especially when you step out from behind the curtain. You want to convey that whether you're in what story you're trying to tell, whether or not you're a babyface, whether or not you're a heel, make that open, make that honest. Now, for me, I feel like a lot of times, especially in the South, especially here in Tennessee, and I've been to Virginia, North Carolina, West Virginia, Georgia, pretty much all down the Southeast. it's pretty easy to be a heel when you walk out and you look like me, you dress like me, you talk like me, and even though I don't have it right now, it's under construction or under maintenance, I should say, is my book of Gabriel, and I espouse the things that I do. I feel like it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty easy to say that I'm not the good guy. So, it's a balance. And I do think that there's maybe a certain time because also too, back to your original thing about collaboration, I think there are some times where at the end of the day, trying to just get eyes on you. If the situation was right, I'd absolutely be open to collaborate with people online, and I do. Um, but also you have to be careful too that you're not just boggling down your social media profile so that it gets lost in the algorithm. And there's a whole Matthew
Mm-hmm.
sign, thing that I'm still trying to figure out
Mm-hmm.
too. That's half of being I guess, a self-promoting, in layman's terms, content creator that you kind of really have to figure out when you're
Mm-hmm.
doing this stuff. And I assume you gentlemen will have to are figuring that out too as podcasters. What
Yep.
time you got to stream, doing it consistently, posting if you're posting clips from these, like catching something the first 3 seconds, that'll grab
Mm-hmm.
people's attention and have the most watch time. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, let me ask you a question real quick. You speak of aura, and your character is giving me. I just watched 28 days later or years later, and there was a
mhm,
character in the. You know what I'm talking about? Big
mhm,
Jim, Big Jimmy,
yep.
and you're giving me this so much vibe of him. You know, he was the cult leader of the Jimmies, and he has his 5 Jimmies, and it just
Mhm.
you give me that aura of him. Like you're the leader, you're the guy. Is it? Do you have your 5 Jimmies? Do you have people that follow you
I mean, I do, but
in the
some
ring?
things are just not yet known yet. And
Mm.
so everything has a time and place. There's a season for joy, there's a season for growth, there's a season for prosperity, and sometimes there's a season of waiting. And so sometimes you can't let your cards all out on the table just yet. But also there's been prospects that have followed me that just quite frankly have not made the cut. Um, because at the end of the day, when you think like me, when you wear the mantle that I wear every single day, when you have met, for a weight of the world on your shoulders, I mean, it's a heavy burden. Not everyone's going to be able to carry it. I mean, would you, before I got, when this whole mindset and this whole, I guess, calling 3 years ago, I would say I'd just be a follower. I'd fall in line. I'd do whatever it takes to be necessary, whatever that looked like at my job, uh, climbing the corporate ladder, being the guy that's always going to be reliable, and I will do everything you ask of me, sir or ma'am. But at the end of the day, sometimes you end up doing worse by saying yes all the time. And that takes a special person. And I learned a lot from that era of my life. I learned to where there needs to be boundaries. And some people who want to follow along with me, who feel like that they should join my cause, join this movement that I'm starting and trickling up as growing, some people just don't have what it takes. And that's okay. And like you said,
Mm-hmm.
the character reference from the 28 years later, Jimmy is one of those people that you know, he comes across as a, very run of the mill, but at the end of the day, gets things done and by any means necessary. Sometimes you got to be that way. And sometimes seasons aren't the right time and things just will be revealed down the road. So you shall just have to keep seeing.
Mm. So You were talking about it a few minutes ago. The quote from Dr. Tom Pritchard. I've heard this quote now twice from other people I've gotten to interview that have been trained by him, like Tyler Shoop and Big Grizzly Chase Bryant, and it's just like anyone I've interviewed that's been trained by him has had nothing but good words to say about him. And it's just, how was it being trained? I've asked them that. I'm gonna ask you the same question. Like when you were being trained by Dr. Tom Pritchard and by Glenn Jacobs, aka Kane, what was your experience like?
It was honestly, it was something that I will never forget because when I walked into wrestling, I'd say that wrestling found me. I've had always known about it. I'd always liked it and I always respected it. And so when the opportunity arose for me to do that, I walked in with it similar to what I just had explained about, more so like, well, let me just try this out. Let me see if, this will be fun. And I got into it and it was fun. It was enjoyable. It was hard. It hurt. It was frustrating, but it was a process. It's a process of always being coachable, always being trainable, and not giving up, truly. And I know that sounds stereotypical and very like surface level, but truly. And if you put the work in, you will see some good fruits. You will see some good results. Because for me, I walked into Dr. Tom's class on day one. I was 265 pounds, and not in a good way, and not very athletic because I did all my sports at a younger age in middle school and high school. And by this time, that was 8, 9, 10 years ago. And I walked in there, but I learned, I gave it my all, and I eventually got in better shape. And then also afterwards with training, it wasn't just like, because there's so many people that, and it's not just Dr. Tom's school, it's any wrestling school. There's a lot of people that will go in, they'll do the course, they'll graduate or however it works. But the real work that goes into that is after you graduate. Just like in real life, when you graduate high school, when you graduate college, that's where the real work begins, because now you have to start producing. Now you have to start putting your skills to the test and actually applying them. So that's the hard part that a lot of guys, I feel like, get discouraged or they just fizzle out, because just not everybody that comes out of a wrestling school is going to have promoters and people lining up at their door to put them on their show. Now you can earn that way, and that's how I felt like I got that, is because I showed up to the events when I wasn't booked. I helped set up the ring, tear it down. I had a good mindset. I wasn't acting like an idiot backstage. I was respectful, and I just wanted to put my face out there. And that's what got me some opportunities. And that also got me some, where people look at you and they are like, okay, that guy's not bad, or that guy is a good hand to have. So I digressed a little bit, but but going back to training at Dr. Tom's, because me and Chase Bryant actually were in the same class, same time period training with Dr. Tom. So me and Chase we go way back. And so I did see that you guys had him on, and Chase Bryant is a good dude. He's a JPWA brother. Me and him both also were at TNA in Nashville. We both got to be extras that night, so or that weekend, and so it was good to see him there. And because he's out in Middle Tennessee, which I assume you guys are as well.
Yep. Angel, he's from Texas. He's from Houston. I'm from Tennessee.
Okay.
But wow. I got to see Chase at TNA. I actually saw him when y'all were carrying the casket. I didn't know you were there, but I saw Chase. I'm like, I recognized Chase right off the bat when y'all were carrying the casket out for the casket. I'm like, that's Chase Bryant. He's an extra tonight. That's cool as hell.
Yeah. No, he kind of got that night and on the pay-per-view, he got to be the one in in the hat and kind of got the more theatrical side. The
Mhm.
pay-per-view, I got kicked in the face by Danny Luna, so that was my big spot of the night. So that was but the yeah, so we and then Tyler Shoot, I'd say there, especially in this business, you'll meet a lot of people, and you'll meet people that you like or that you see a lot, and you're like, oh, it's cool to shoot the shit. But Tyler Shoot's one of those people I consider a brother in this business. He's helped me out a lot. He's given me good feedback. He's also next level. Wouldn't be surprised to see him on a big stage. I mean, very, very soon. And
Mhm.
I appreciate him for a lot of things that he's done. And he's a good friend. He's a good dude. And also he's a talented wrestler, just a talented personality as well. And I think he's one of those guys that he's got it. He's got the factor, and I think he'll go very far. So it's a good, those guys are great dudes to have on here. And, but yeah, it's Dr. Tom, Doc's kind of I think he's basically kind of closed the school down. He's been doing this for years, and I was glad that Doc could kind of get a little bit of rest and reprieve, and or just do whatever he kind of wants to do. But everybody that walked through those doors, they learned something, whether it was
Mhm.
that um they learned either about themselves, or they learned about the business, or they learned about the history of wrestling. You could take something from it. And Doc also was a type that could pull something out of you or expose you in a way where he would call you out on some stuff if you were being too much of a dickhead or got too full of yourself. And those people normally didn't last because, when you're in a spot like that and learning, there's no better person than to be under the learning tree of Dr. Tom. And Doc's trained some of the greats of this business. Not some, he's trained pretty much most of the talent that you see on TV today. And then also even people before that, he's probably had a hand with in their training in some degree. Back when he was at
Oh yeah.
FCW, I mean, you just think about guys, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. I mean, he didn't train them from the ground up, but they were products of FCW when Dr. Tom was there. And of course, Dr. Tom did have a huge hand in people like The Rock, people like Mark Henry.
Mhm.
And one day I hope to have my name in that list and be able to look at it as like, oh wow, this, Dr. Tom trained this guy. And so yeah, yeah, his school will be sorely missed, and I'm thankful for Dr. Tom Pritchard for awakening something in me. What Michael Gabriel has become was partially because of Dr. Tom.
Michael, Michael, I have a question. Going back to what you were saying at the beginning of this, you were saying how some people, after you graduate from wrestling school, there's so much that goes into it, like getting your stuff out there and becoming someone, not getting discouraged. How long did it take you to go from you know slowly getting booked to being where you are now? And what words do you have for people that are in that stage where they're barely starting and they're struggling because, like, man, am I getting booked? Nothing's going on, stuff like that for up and comers.
Yeah, I mean, for people, I mean, I've only been in for 3 years, and so I'm still on this journey. I'm still learning. I'm still growing as a wrestler, as a talent, as a man, as an athlete, you name it. So I'm not the complete encyclopedia of wrestling knowledge yet, but I can, to your question, I was there when I first graduated from Dr. Tom's or whatever school you're in. I think the best thing to do is if you're you go through a wrestling academy and you put yourself out there, is start exactly doing that, putting yourself out there. Start posting on social media, but also do things that try to stand out. Don't just look like every other wrestler. I mean, and you can do that whatever size you are, whether you're big, whether you're small. Um, have some personality, be able to talk. I think some people forget the value of being able to talk and being able to, because at the end of the day, this business is called, I know it's become a dirty word. It was coined and everyone kind of sneers at it, but it's sports entertainment. It's entertainment. The reason why you go to a show is because you want to be entertained, and also you appreciate this for um, for what it is. Whether it was you were a fan way back, or you've always been a fan, or your parents used to take you to shows. So when you get into the wrestling business, this business is all about relationships. You have to have people like you. So the first thing that you do is when you go to a show, and especially if you're not booked, don't be an idiot. Don't be an asshole. don't don't sit there and maybe piss somebody off. And that means obviously showing respect to the veterans, no matter if they've never been on TV or they are a name or they've been wrestling for 30 years. Show everyone respect, whether that's shaking a hand, whether that's just being, hey sir, how you doing? My name is X. Um, and keeping your head down and doing what you can to help out, because that's what got me going. Is I would show up to shows that were, higher echelon than what maybe my talent was or my ability was at the time. And all you're really hoping for is just an opportunity. And sometimes that comes because, there's places where I show up to still today. That grind doesn't stop. I don't just sit there and wait by the phone and hope somebody calls. I'm still reaching out. I'm still showing up. Like this is part of the wrestling grind. But and then when you have that opportunity, do what you can to stand out, but also be smart about it too. Um, and you know what? That might get you a job. That might get you booked, and that might get you on the regular rotation. And then there's times too where you may show up for 4, 5, 6 times and you're not booked and you're still not getting opportunities and you're still like, that's where it gets really tough, because that's when you're like, oh, I feel like this is a waste of time. But honestly, keep showing up, keep being respectful. Somebody will notice. But also too, I'll say this, and this may come across as harsh, but I'm speaking from personal experience, is get in the fucking gym. Go to the gym, get in shape. You don't have to be jacked roid guy overnight, but you have to remember this is a physical sport. You have to be in condition to do this, because if you get winded and gassed in 5 minutes during a match when you've got a 10-minute match, A, it's going to look sloppy, and B, you could hurt somebody because you still got to do the match. And when you're tired and worn, I mean, you're constantly raising the potential of hurting somebody. So I say that, and I know that may come across as harsh and, oh, that's body shaming. No, but this is what this business is. It's a looks-based business. The people, most people on TV are in great shape. They test your endurance, they test your strength, So, and plus, to me, going to the gym is a great personal decision because there's just so many benefits. And the thing is too, is that if you keep going, if you keep eating right, because that's another thing too, is throw out the McDonald's, the Chick-fil-A, the Bojangles, or wherever your vice is, or whatever, that you've been used to. Throw that shit out. The diet part, because you can be going to the gym 7 days a week for 3 hours a day, but if you're still eating shit, you're not gonna. It's basically it's an extremely uphill battle, and you won't see the results that you need to. So, and that's even harder too, because going to the gym takes discipline and consistency, but also most of the places where the times you eat healthy is when you have to cook your own food. You have to get in the kitchen. You got to buy the chicken. You got to buy the seasoning. You got to chop up the little this and that. And then you got to cook the rice and you got to wait. And you might be tired because you're probably working a job. You probably, who knows, you may have a family. You may even have a crazy ass girlfriend. I don't know your situation, but all these different things, it takes discipline. And for anybody that's listening to this that may be, just started wrestling, keep going, keep doing it, put in the work, and you will see results. Because I'm not where I'm at right now. That's where I'll be the first one to raise my hand. I'm not exactly where I'm at in my physical journey, and I'm still a work in progress, and but I can look at pictures of when I started wrestling, before I started wrestling, and you look at me now, I can say that I'm proud of myself, and you could possibly be, if you're listening, be proud of yourself too. And that doesn't mean you have to like go down to being 185 pounds. Like if you're 240 pounds, if you can lose the fat or tone up more and be the big guy, they're absolutely, there you think of the Bam Bam Bigelows and the Big Shows and even Mick Foley. I mean, some of these guys that were, that people still remember to this day. They not everybody's a body guy, but at the same time, when you're first starting out, nobody knows who you are. Nobody. And so what will help you stand out a little bit is if you're in good shape. Also, too, I'd say tan. Get yourself some self tanner or go to the tanning bed or go wherever. You only live once. Who cares about, all the all the different, whatevers, but at the same time, just try to look tan. So that's probably a long-winded question for you. Answer, but that was a great question though, because I feel like and wrestling's from even in the 3 years I've seen, it's a very unique business because there are some people that make it without the physiques, without all those X, Y, and Z's I've leaned off. But a lot of that's like right place, right time, or right promotion, or right social media viral clip. Like some shit just you can't control. But I'd say control the controllables, and for your own good too. Because I'd say this, wrestling is a physical sport, and also you're doing things that your body's not really designed to do. Like think about the whole thing of like falling back and landing on a canvas that has probably like this much padding and then 2x4s underneath it. Your body's is not designed, your brain's not wired to be like, I have to go back and land on my back and do this. Or if you're jumping off, like all the different variations. So when you're in the gym, when you're getting physically fit, you're doing these things because it's going to help you when your muscles are constantly being stretched, being torn. And I say torn, like they're being torn so to be built back up, because when you eat protein, kind of, adds to your muscles and adds to your gains. And it basically trains your muscles to be strained, which is a good thing for wrestling, because you don't want to be injured. You don't want to take a normal ass back bump and pull a muscle 2 minutes into a match, and then you got to drive home, and then you got to go to work, and it's not like you probably made a whole lot of money either. So you've got this nagging injury, which could potentially been resolved just by stretching, B, like getting your muscles used to that type of tension, and also too, like just good technique. So Hopefully that answers your question. Like I said, the long-winded answer.
No, for sure it did.
So, in the 3 years you've been doing this, and I've not met anyone that doesn't have one yet. Have you had to deal with like a promoter or people at a show that are just like have been shady to deal with?
Ugh. Oh yes. Oh yes. Brother, we're in the wrestling business.
It's
This is
part of the business.
it happens. I mean, I think if someone told you that their whole entire wrestling journey, they never met a weirdo, they never met a hothead, they never met an egomaniac, they never met a shady promoter, they probably never wrestled. I mean, I could I could tell stories, but at the same time, I don't want to be too uh well, you know what? We're on a podcast. I won't say names, but I do have a funny story because this promoter had gone online or had been kind of outed online for some of the shady practices as of lately. But
Hmm.
I'll just say so. There was a promoter in Georgia who he was promoting a show, and my one of my good friends was like, "Hey, this guy needs a tag team. Do you want to come down there and do this with me?" And I was like, "Sure." And so I saw the poster and I saw the setup or where it was going to be at, and I was like, "Oh wow, they're bringing in like a big name, and not like a name from like the '80s, like a very recent been on TV name." And
Yeah.
I was like, "Dude, that's awesome." And I've also am a fan of this person's work. So I'm like, "Cool, this would be a great time to even just pick their brain." So of course I took the booking. So we go there and everything seemed good and fair. The locker room was great. Um, the show was in a big auditorium. We had a big name on the show. It was going on a wrestling streaming network. It was going to be great. Um,
Yeah.
and of course, we had our match, and everybody that we worked with was professional in the ring. It was good. We had a good time. Um, and so the night went swell. It was, the show went a little long, but that's wrestling. Sometimes that happens.
Hmm.
But then there's always that time when it's time to get your money, when it's time to get what you showed up for. And sometimes it's not, it's always not always going to be a lot. But this promoter was like, "Okay, send me your PayPal. Um, I'll send you something out tomorrow after the show." Because he was also running another show um, in another state the next day, which I wasn't on, but which was fine. Um, but so I drove back to Knoxville. Uh, it was about 4 hour drive, late at night. It was good. Got to talk to the name, got some pictures with him, got to pick his brain. He gave me some great advice. Um, and so probably no, like 2, 3 weeks later, I realized I still hadn't been paid. So I reached out to this person, the promoter. It's like,
Hmm.
"Oh well, I'll get it to you when the check comes in when from somebody." Like, okay. So fast forward a little more, I'm down in TNA in Orlando. And I
Hmm.
met and I saw some of the guys that I'd been on that show with. And I was like, "Hey, you know, I was, that was, have you, I just, we were shooting the shit a little bit, but then I was like, did you ever get paid for that?" And this person has also like been on like, I wouldn't say national TV, but like he's been on a three-letter promotion too.
Yeah.
Um, and he was like, "No, still hasn't paid me, hasn't paid the guys that rode up with me, nothing." And I was like, "What the hell?" Because even the guy I tagged with was like, "Yeah, I still haven't been paid." And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I was just like, "This is weird." And so we talked a little bit, and I kind of was like, "You know what? I gotta be a little bit of uh, I gotta be a little firm with this."
Yeah.
So I messaged this promoter, and apparently this promoter was going through a health event. which unfortunate, but his ailment was not like anything life threatening. Basically, he was fully functional. He just wasn't on his feet type deal. So
Yeah.
basically, we exchanged some. I was firm. I wasn't total dickhead, but I was like, you said you're a man of your word. Do the right thing. And I had to be, sometimes you got to be like that. But I'm also like, I'm not naturally going to be like that with people because I'm not going to cry over $40 sometimes, especially if it's a local thing. I got
Yeah.
better shit to deal. I got more shit to deal with than that. But this was a pretty nice number that this guy was going to pay. And, it was like 4 or 5 hours away.
Yeah.
So he ended up paying me. Thank heavens. I got my money. But then fast forward to like, I don't know, a month ago, I was at CCW in Nashville. And
Mm.
I was talking to some of the guys that were there, and I recognized some of these guys that came up to the show. They were just like me, showed up and just there to help and hopefully get in a spot. And we talked about this because we were on the same show. And come to find out, they had never gotten paid. The guy that the promoter rented the ring from never got paid. The production people never got paid. And like he's still out running shows.
I think I
And
know who you're talking about. Yeah.
you might have. I don't know if you follow along with the local dirt sheets or the certain I don't know, garbage can bag, wink wink nod
Yeah.
nod.
No. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's really, I mean, there's ones that aren't as juicy as that, and the only reason why I really feel like I could even say that is because it's already been put out there online. And like you said, you were kind of like, I think I know you're talking about, wink wink. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, and that's where sometimes you're going to run into that. And I guess this goes back to your original question, Angel, is when you're first starting, is there's going to be places that will try to take advantage of you. Um, and obviously you don't have to be a dickhead as long as it's not something that's against your moral compass or um illegal. Like when I say take advantage, like bad booking, silly booking, or from a wrestling standpoint, like, oh, you're gonna go out there 2 minutes and job out. Like, get your reps.
Or,
If it like sometimes, especially when you're first starting, you got to take what you can get. Sometimes that means accidentally taking an outlaw really bad show and hopefully having the mindset of like, this is just a rep. I probably will never come back here, but take what you can from it. Because anytime you get to go out in front of the people, have a match, and get that experience, whether wrestling is an on the job learning field because you can read all the books, you can watch all the matches, but until you go out there and do it, that's the only way to get better because you learn things on the job. It's on the job training. As I think even
mhm.
Dr. Tom had said that too. So
Or before Angel asks his next question, or as they say, you might get the old hot dog and a handshake sometimes when you're first starting out.
yeah, yeah, for sure. There's a lot of time. I mean, there's many times I worked for free, um, quote unquote, for experience. And honestly, I'm thankful for it. I'm glad that I did because I learned how to get comfortable in the ring. Um, and it's still a learning process, but like having consistent things to go to, sometimes working multiple matches in one night, I learned a lot. I learned different, just even in like 5 to 8 to 10 minute matches, like you learn a lot by just getting in there and doing it. You can try shit out, you can throw it at the wall. If it sticks, I think I'll keep that. If it looked like shit or just didn't get over, all right, back to the drawing board. So, yeah. You learn from experience.
Oh, one of my questions I like to ask the people I interview is, what are your goals for 2026? I know we're what, 1/4 of the way there for
Yeah.
2026 to be over, and besides 2026, what's one of your biggest goals for your career that you want to achieve before you hang
Um,
it up one day?
yeah, well, I want to for 2026, I have like kind of a two-part goal for my from a physical standpoint. I want
Got the
to
guns out.
yeah, I know. I got to tie the hair up. I was just it gets in the way. Uh, but I want to get where I work lean out my V taper, which is on my sides around my hips, but also put on 10 more pounds of muscle. Um, so that's like a physical goal, because it's the grind is every day and life happens sometimes, but at the same time, if you're in the gym and consistent and you're sticking to a diet that you can do. I mean, I've seen guys absolutely transform. I mean, I don't know if you guys know him or not, but if you guys know Ray Bruce.
Yep. I know
Yeah,
Ray.
I don't
Yeah.
know if Angel. I don't know if you know because you're from Houston, but he's a Middle Tennessee guy. He was actually an extra with me at TNA in Nashville, and we were talking there, and I love Ray Bruce. He's a good dude, but seeing his journey from like where he's at now, and then what he was like 3, 4 years ago, I mean, he doesn't even look like the same person. It's crazy. He showed me old pictures of himself, and I mean, seeing him now, I'm like, dude, that's the product of putting in the work and staying consistent, and I respect guys who do that, and also Ray Bruce isn't an asshole. So shout out to Ray Bruce. I will. Another guy too is Von Miller. Vaughn
Yep.
is trained with me at Dr. Tom's school in the same class. He's been a regular at CCW in Nashville, but Vaughn's come a long way too. Vaughn's another one of those guys I look at as a brother. But
Yep.
he's transformed his look, his personality's really come out with that he puts out on social media. Um, and I mean, he's always been very good in the ring, but he just keeps getting better, and so I'm proud of him as well. So, um, but I can't remember what the original question was. I got
Oh,
I'm already on a
your
tangent.
goals for
My goals.
2026.
Gotcha. See,
Get shredded.
I like to talk, so I mean, I guess that's why this is kind of the thing for me. But um, my goal would be to actually get, I've gotten some extra work opportunities with TNA, potentially with AEW, but I'd like to actually get on to where I get either some sort of match on one of those promotions, whether it be like Ring of Honor, TNA, even if it's a 3 minute, enhancement style match, just something to where I can get out there and, you know, exposure is exposure. So, and then also
Hmm.
just to travel more up north to, trying to get into like Ohio or Pennsylvania or like the up north scene because Tennessee. I love Tennessee. This is my home. I didn't wasn't born here, but Tennessee, this is my home. But Tennessee wrestling scene kind of is limited. I love all old school wrestling and keeping it simple sometimes, especially if the crowd's into it. But you want to be able to broaden your horizons and get to where you have different styles, different flows, and a lot of that, everywhere is a little bit different. The South
Hmm.
versus up North versus the West Coast, even the Midwest too. They all have different styles because, um, and I hope, and that's what I'm trying to get out there, at least to like 2 or 3 more states this year.
Okay. So with your gear, I know everyone has their own person they go to for having their gear made, or you were talking about earlier, your book of Gabriel is under construction maintenance, if you will. You have someone that you go to, like, do you go to one specific person, or do you go to like multiple people to have your gear made?
So I've actually kind of gotten lucky with my gear because I don't know if you've known or heard of Tyler Thorne. He's actually now he's
Hmm.
AEW's
Yep.
gear maker. Also, he's a wrestler. His dad was a wrestler and very talented guy, but he also is very busy and also has made just he's out there making the big names gear, whether that's on
Yes.
AEW when he was in TNA. He's done a lot of New Japan stuff. He did like Joe Hendry's gear. Um, he made my first like custom set that I still technically wear, and then actually he's making another pair of mine that's coming soon. So I just got another extremely lucky again of with the with him having some spots open, so I was able to get in with him, and he's got something coming down the pipeline for me. But I have had other people. I had a pair of trunks that I had. Her name's Audrey Allen. She makes those. She's a wrestler in the Carolinas. Very nice girl. She's also she's very good at doing gear, and she made it very quick. And I just wanted to try out trunks because I normally wear tights, but my boots I got from I can't remember his name, but he's down in Mexico. I think it's Ray Chavaria. He makes a lot of big boots. So I've gotten lucky with some really good gear makers but the others a lot of this other stuff is just kind of um freestyle. If I see something out and about while I'm shopping, thrift stores are the wackier it is, and if it fits the persona, I'm all down for it. I mean,
Okay.
there's some, and sometimes that's the thing too. Kind of goes back to the your question from way back, Angel, was about guys that are just graduated. I mean, I know like invest good money into your gear, like what you're gonna wear while you wrestle. But when you have things that like, especially when you're starting up, if you want to kind of have some personality, like just go out to like a thrift store or go. I mean, if you're gonna find like jewelry or accessories or glasses or I don't know something, find something out of the at the Planet Exchange or the Plato's Closet that like you don't have to drop a band on to get. Now down the road when you may be making more money, or if you saw something or found somebody to do stuff with that, yeah, I mean, it's going to cost you something, but it's hopefully going to be quality, and also somebody that is very experienced in what they're doing. But so I mean, yeah, a lot of my stuff, if I see it out and about and it's not unreasonable, it's just kind of like, well, let me try this out, and if it works, it works.
Love it. You got a question, Mike?
I can see it in your
Oh yeah.
face.
So you work for multiple promotions. Yeah. You work. It's like the promotions you worked for in the 3 years you've been doing this. I know you've also. I think I might be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. You've also worked for the NWA, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I've been on their territory shows. Not
Out of the.
I haven't gotten to be on like the tapings yet, but yeah, but I've known
Yeah.
all those guys. So
So out of all the promotions you work with, which one has helped you gotten better as a wrestler and helped develop your character more?
hmm, that's a hard one to um really single out one because I know it may sound like a dumb answer or may not be what you want to hear, but kind of all of them have. Because every time I feel like I go out there, um, sometimes I'll try something new. Sometimes I've evolved a lot since I first started. Because if I showed you pictures from like
Mhm.
my first couple of matches, it wouldn't. I wouldn't be as, you would probably recognize me, or I'd be look very different. But like, I don't know. There's been some places that like I've just learned a little bit from everything. Like, there's a promotion in Mississippi that it's been a while since I've gone to, but I'd like to get back. It's called EPW. It's in Boonville, Mississippi.
Yep. Hmm. Yep.
That was actually where I had my first ever match. And ironically, like they were on like local at the time, they were like local TV. Like a lot of promotions say they're like, oh, we're doing TV, but but these guys were actually on TV, and now they're like all through Mississippi and Memphis area, and I think even in Alabama too. Um, but like stuff like that, like learning how to work the hard cam, learning how to do certain things so that the camera catches it, to where your ass isn't just in the shot, or you could get the cool move, but actually get where you know it's in viewing, and where you could get it to clip it and post it. There's been times that I think even like the NW, I've had the opportunity to cut promos, like live in-ring promos at places like NWA, JCP, and when Ricky Morton had a school of Morton. That was actually where I went to a lot because it
Yep.
was close by, and um, that was my reps promotion. I just did. That's where there'd be times I'd wrestle 3 4 times in a Sunday, like it was crazy. Um, but stuff like that. And then there's a promotion here in La Follette, Tennessee, on over here in East Tennessee, SPCW. I had my first couple matches
Hmm.
there, and then even places like CCW, like a place like a lot of times, um, there's these shows that you do, they're in like a school, or they're in a place where you're around families a lot. You want to keep it PG, and Dr. Tom always kind of taught us that, like keep it PG because you just want to assume you're family friendly. But then places like a CCW where you're in Nashville, you're at the Troubadour. It's got a vibe. It's got a bar.
Hmm.
People are drinking. You can be a little bit more raunchy, or a little bit more. You can throw a cuss word out there if you want to or not. But even for my gimmick, I don't try to cuss because that really just wouldn't fit. And then everybody that on the indies will sit there, and if they're at the bar show, they'll sit there and cuss up a storm or something. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's really been, I can't really nail down like one promotion. It's just really been a kind of a conglomeration of them all. Um, and that's
Okay.
kind of the good thing. You just throw things at the wall, see what sticks. I mean, um,
Yeah.
the whole guiding light, or let it shine, like me doing that, that kind of came out
Hmm.
during JCP, and I was like, it kind of felt good and felt like a flow, and it was just something maybe people could latch on to. And so yeah, there's really not one, but it's just kind of, you take what you can get and learn from whatever, even the bad ones too.
And Michael,
Okay.
regarding your whole gimmick, with the shining light and everything, uh, what inspirations have you gotten from, let's say, movies, shows, wrestlers? I know you said it, you lived it because you were in
Hmm.
that church growing up, but
Yeah.
you take inspiration from for that character from like movies or anything else like that, or other
Oh yeah.
wrestlers?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you kind of, I think Jim Cornette said that if you take something from someone that's stealing, but when you take things from multiple people, it's called research. So that's what kind of my philosophy. I've taken things because for me, I've always really been interested in cults, and then also why people believe what they believe. Like that could mean other religions, other political thought processes, just how people think and believe and operate in life. I know that may sound like super deep, I guess, but that's always interested me. So I remember even while I was involved in the church world, I was always really interested in cults, especially because people that can take things from a lot of like modern, I guess I don't want like mainstream religions and make it very fringe, but still people really latch onto it. Like for example, the probably one of the most infamous guys is Jim Jones. I don't know if you guys are familiar. The guy, the Jonestown
Mm.
massacre,
Drink
where
the Kool-Aid.
he drank the Kool-Aid. That whole phrase was Jim Jones, man. The fact that he could convince that many people to go to a country in South America and then make them drink cyanide and unalive themselves, all for whatever higher cause or purpose. I mean,
Is he one of
it's
the comics
great.
guy? The people that wrote the comics, or is that a different cult?
No, that's Heaven's Gate. That was Marshall Applewhite. I've watched Marshall Applewhite's sermons or whatever you call it, where he was calling himself Doe and his wife was T, and they convinced people that the Halley's Comet was a UFO that was going to take them into another ethereal plane. And so, yeah, he did the same thing, convinced all these people. And like, so having that power. So like, I'm trying to think of, oh, another one of my favorites. Have you ever, I'm a huge fan. And it's weird because I'm not a huge movie guy, but this movie is I'll watch it over and over and over, is Eyes Wide Shut by Stanley Kubrick. Have you ever
That's
seen
like a
that?
top. It's like a topic
Mhm.
right now.
Yep.
A really hard topic right now in the
Yes, it
world.
is.
I have not seen it,
Yes,
but I
Mhm.
need to.
yes. Stanley Kubrick back in what, the 80s when he made that, was onto something way before the general public was. Um, so that whole element and that vibe of like even just the there's something about that movie. It just it's it really inspired the weight of like the aura, I guess I'd say. Like if I had big budget and a big company backing me, like that's how I would want Michael Gabriel presented, as more of like, have y'all two watched that movie before?
I've seen the ending.
Okay, so there's a scene in that movie where because Tom Cruise like basically infiltrates this like, you know, elite
I,
cult
I've
underground
watched it.
mass. You've watched
I,
it,
I,
okay? But the scene where like he's in
I,
the at the house and he's like walks out in the like
mhm.
with the guy and they're oh like doing all that shit, like that type of vibe of like presenting, not have to do everything, not with the masks and all that, but just something about that movie's always intrigued me from a visual standpoint. And then also because one of my friends is that a former coworker, he's an independent movie filmmaker, and so he's really big into like he's really, we're talking about wrestling right now for an hour, but he'd be on a podcast talking about filmography and lenses and he's bit so when Stanley Kubrick as a director, everything meant something too. Every shot, every chair placed in a certain, and then the fact that like Kubrick died like 2 weeks after the movie came out. There's just like a aura about that movie that it draws me in.
and
Um
and The Shining too.
yeah, The Shining too. That was a good one. And another inspiration that this one I wasn't totally going for, but I just kind of leaned into it was because everyone started saying that I look like him, and I was just like, okay, fine, I'll just do it. Is Joseph Seed from Far Cry 5, which
Yep.
I remember
Yep.
playing it.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's where I remember playing that game years ago, and I really liked it because I was like, oh, this is cool. So then when people started seeing me come out, and I didn't have the glasses, I didn't like, it just, they were like, oh, you remind me of Joseph C. And I was like, huh, let me steal some shit from him too. So, but I could go on with all the different, I mean, because there's just so many different documentaries and cults and shit that I've watched over years, and I love it. It's kind of a weird obsession, but then that's like the fun task is like, how do I apply that to wrestling to where some fan in some podunk town in Middle Tennessee or East Tennessee, it's not going to go over their head, because you kind of have to simplify things. Like,
Yeah.
So sometimes you get too audacious for your own good. So,
I love it. Thank you for answering that.
Well,
yeah,
I want to thank you for coming. Yeah, I was gonna say thank you for coming on the show tonight and letting us just listen to you and hear your story and just I enjoyed hearing what you had to say and I'll definitely have to catch more of your shows in the future. I don't see how I hadn't heard of your name until like recently. That's what's crazy to me. So I appreciate you taking the time to come on and just letting us hear your stories.
well, yeah, well, I appreciate you guys having me. You guys have been good hosts. Good questions too. I appreciate that. It felt very, very flowing. So I mean, we've been doing this for an hour and it hasn't felt like that. So,
Yeah.
I've been on other podcasts before in the past, and sometimes it's just like I'm like, oh God, we're only 30 minutes into this, So props to you fellas
Yeah,
too. So,
Appreciate it. Thank you
um,
so much.
I appreciate
yeah.
it.
So, well, thank you guys for
Well,
having me, and
And
oh
we'll
yeah,
definitely have
definitely.
you back on
I'll look forward to having you on.
when it
Yeah.
goes to TNA or AEW or
well, yeah,
ROH.
dude. Well, I'm trying to get down to Texas too. I met some Texas dudes at TNA, so I'm trying to get down there. I
Yeah, we
love
got
the
Row,
wrestling.
we got Row, we got there's so many promotions in Houston, and Houston's like one big loop, about an
Yeah.
hour, and people travel from promotion to promotion on the same night to wrestle. I don't know if that happens over there in Tennessee, but there's
Yeah,
guys.
sometimes.
Yeah, there's a lot of promotions going on all weekend.
Angel, do
So
you follow me on Instagram or?
I did earlier.
I
Okay,
do.
I was
Yeah.
literally as it was recording, I saw somebody. I wondered if it was one of you guys, but yeah, shoot me some promotions that I can reach out to and that you know of. That'll be because I'd love to come down there and
Oh, for sure. And if you do, hit me up so I can go watch.
yeah, for sure, I
Yeah.
will. I will. So
Well, as always, ladies and gentlemen, if you've watched the ending of any episode that we've ever done, you know how the ending's about to go. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been your host, as always, the Media Maverick Mike Weldon. This has been my co-host, Angel Kicks Balls from Talking Turnbuckles Podcast, and this has been our awesome guest, the guiding light, Michael Gabriel.
thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. And is he back? Wait, don't leave it. I need to ask you something else real quick.
I'm here.
You